Two, one, and we're live.
Alright. Hi, you're tuning live to Just FM. Of course, it's Pinoy Hour, and when we say Pinoy Hour, this is Canucks to us Canadians, and of course we are live simultaneously on Facebook Live to Just FM app or Just FM through your cell phone or through your desktop. It's justfm.ca and Just FM on your desk or app application on your phone. So of course we are on the second week of our weekly special until the October 16th election, and we're here located in Lethbridge, Southern Alberta, and of course we have someone special for you today, but let me just introduce first my colleague. I got Mr. Lou there on my right. I got Mr. Randy on the technical side. And of course, me, yours truly, my name is John, and we're here for you, and we're gonna educate you with our current election. So exercise your rights, Lethbridge 2017. We got the Honorable Jennifer Takahashi, one of the lady runners for city office this coming October 16th in our city. And I welcome you here, madam. You take the floor. Introduction, please.
Very pleased to be here. This is actually, I've been looking forward to this for, well, since you invited me, right? So I'm Jennifer Takahashi. I've lived in Lethbridge for about 12 years. Oh, it'll be 12 years tomorrow.
Oh,
12 years tomorrow is my entry into the country date. I'm an immigrant. I got my citizenship last year. I have an amazing 10-year-old child who is here with us because he's the pretend campaign manager and does a beautiful job at it. So I had been talking for a while about running for city council. I'd been talking about it since October, and I got a position at a nonprofit organization, and I kind of was like, maybe I'm not going to run. But then I started seeing the lineup of candidates that came out, and they are really representative of one demographic of the city, and we're actually, as you know, an incredibly diverse, very cultural city, and it's not just about race or gender. It's also about age and family status and career background and interests and passions and the things that drive us. And it just kind of happened overnight. Literally, I was like, no, we are doing this, and we can't just have one demographic represented. And it, for me, a lot of it is just looking at Lethbridge, where we stand now at 100,000, how things have changed over the last few years, and what we can look for in the future. And so now here I am with you guys.
That's very good. Thank you very much for considering to run. That'll be a good representation for not just, like you said, one faction of the town, but everybody else will be represented. Okay, did you, John?
So we're gonna throw in, of course, our usual questions. So.
Oh, by the way, it's September 11 today.
Oh yeah.
So we are remembering 16 years ago what happened in the United States. Actually, it's just not in the United States; it's all over the world.
It's impacted
how it affected everybody. So, do you remember, ma'am? Where were you at that time when it happened?
I was bartending, so I was actually asleep when my neighbor came down and ran into my apartment yelling, "They're bombing New York." And I was like, oh, it is way too early for this. And she's like, no, actually put your pants on. And that was code for like, this is serious. And so we went up and we spent the day watching the horrors unfold in her apartment. And then I went to work, and this continued for weeks. My father was a firefighter. And so for me, it was especially hard to watch these amazing men and women, first responders, firemen, police, everybody running into these collapsing towers, watching. I mean, we all remember the footage. And it was extremely challenging. And then after that, watching my friends go to war and watching them come back with physical and mental injuries and problems and, all of the death and everything that went on. And so for me today is also, it's always a very somber and very sad day. But there is the optimism there.
That's right.
Right? We pushed past, and even though we're still seeing the repercussions with first responders dying from exposure to asbestos and all of these things, there is a certain spirit that comes out of that, and that's what we try and remember every year on this day, is that.
Especially Lethbridge, we do have a lot of great young men and women.
So many.
Police, military, firefighters.
And today they're out in Waterton. fighting for us today, and so it's kind of
So we have to.
synchronous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we thank you all for all of your support.
Thank you
to
for the
all of
service
our-
as well, and of course keeping us safe. And we salute you, and we're behind you 100%. So, like our usual question, and how do you like the weather here in Lethbridge? And it's a Canadian thing.
Yeah.
And do you think that's one of the factors why so many immigrants chose to move here? And compared to other cities like Alberta, like I find it really, really good weather.
Coming from a very temperate coastal town, it was a bit of a transition for me, how dry it is, and how windy, and how cold. But after a winter or two, I learned that my socks were dry year-round, right? And I was like, this is the best place in the world.
Yeah,
It's
I
always
agree.
sunny. My socks are always dry. And I think I appreciate the change in seasons more here, because back home, it's rainy 10 months out of the year. So it's always green, and you don't see the different levels of beauty. And every time I come back at various points in
Where's
the year,
home? previously?
Portland, Oregon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
so-
from the States.
Yeah, the high humidity, all green all the time, and I just love watching as things transition. And even though there's a little sadness that the leaves are changing, it's also an amazing thing to watch. So I like that here, and I feel that it is part of the reason why people choose to settle here. I mean, we do have more sunshine, we are more comfortable, and even though the wind can be a little biting, a dry cold is so much better than a wet cold. I don't care what science says on this.
That's true.
And I think there's just more opportunity here. I mean, we're a small city, we're growing, and I think that really facilitates immigrant growth coming in, and just that kind of, it's easier, I think, to be an entrepreneur here, to follow your dreams and your passions, and there's so many supports, even setting up small businesses, finding investor groups that'll come in, and I think, in a lot of ways our housing's a little affordable, and, then it's always sunny, so, I think that's a great thing.
It's not just Philadelphia that's sunny, so
Yeah,
it's
right.
sunny in Lethbridge.
Yep.
And you mentioned about the wind as well. So I often, every day, every time I get across to a Lethbridgean, I usually ask, does the wind get into you?
It can. It's mostly because of my hair. That's really where it gets me, right? Because it's just, but it does. It can cause me kind of like when there's a rapid pressure change. There was one this morning. There'll be like a half-hour gap there where I'm kind of like really lightheaded and sleepy, and then it adjusts, and then I'm fine again. I'm lucky I'm not one of the people who gets the migraines. Those, I can't imagine living like that.
That's correct. And every time I encounter one, they would be like, I'm so sick of the wind. I came from the East Coast in the
Montreal.
province of Quebec. It's humid there. When it's that cold, it is cold.
Oh, so cold.
When it is hot, it's truly hot.
Yeah.
So you can't get all of them. But I get the best of both worlds.
Yes.
So,
Yep.
Yeah, well,
I mean-
I've been in Alberta for 16 years, and
Okay.
Lethbridge is the nicest area to be with, to go when you're in Alberta.
Oh, yeah.
So
So I go
winter's
to-
short, and
Very, yeah.
plus the sunny.
Yeah.
I mean, I may
All the
sound
time.
like a broken record, but it is sunny in
It's sunny.
Lethbridge, and yes, it's always dry.
Yeah, and that's all I can ask for.
That's correct. And you have a
Oh,
second question?
so on that line of questioning, what makes Lethbridge, do you think, stand out compared to the other cities, especially much larger cities like Edmonton and Calgary?
I think, I love Edmonton because it reminds me of home, just the way it's laid out and the river and everything. And I've learned to love Calgary because, honestly, they sell my favorite shoes and I love cheese. So, but I'm always happy to come back here because I feel it's manageable. Like, you still have opportunities to get in to make change within your community. It's easy to find your people and find like-minded people to work with, whether that's starting businesses or, producing like Flip Fest that happened, the, all women-based music festival a couple weekends ago. We still have those opportunities here. And I find that Lethbridge is a little more laid back. It's a little friendlier. It's a little easier. There's
People
less.
are a little bit more closer.
Yeah, and I love that about it. That I can walk into the Owl down the street and say, "Where would you recommend I go for a hamburger?" And everybody's gonna chat with you, and it's not so fast and bustly. And I love that about it. And having kids, as it's still incredibly safe.
Yes.
He can hop on his
Yes,
bike
that I agree. Yeah.
bike down to the gas station and get a Slurpee, and I don't worry about it, right?
That's how I see it. Like I completely agree. I have my 2 kids just walk without any concerns or anything to worry about. It's I don't want to say it's worry free, but it is 99% worry free.
I'm completely comfortable here.
And we're so close to the border too.
Yeah.
Saves a lot of time driving from
That's true.
southern states.
Yeah, we got Montana there.
Yeah.
So we let me just play a little future forecasting here.
Okay.
Like once in office, what will be some of your initiative to improve the city of Lethbridge?
So, this is always such a big conversation. So there's like the gimmies. We should all be pushing for a ward system. Calgary had one when they had a population of 4,000, and it's prudent to do it now while it's more cost effective, and then also so that we can work out the kinks as it grows. But to me, that's not even a campaign issue because it just should happen, right? It's the same thing. Curbside recycling is in the process of getting set up. So the next logical step is curbside composting. It should just happen. These are things that don't seem like they're big campaign issues because, well, of course, why wouldn't we be doing these things, right? And so for me, a lot of the focus is on, we know transit is a major issue in this town.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, it takes 45 minutes to get from the college to the university, and I'm a blue-collar worker and have been since I immigrated, and there's times where I was working shift work and couldn't get to or from the factory because there were buses, or when I was had employees at a cafe I ran, I had employees who couldn't work on Sundays because there was no transit. And then when you start looking at the senior community, how are they supposed to be able to get around in inclement weather when there's no transit? And when you look at the transit master plan, and then in conjunction the cycling master plan, which is, similar things, they're great plans, but like cycling is going to take 30 years. And the transit plan has no hard concrete dates or timelines. And so my goal is to get in there and set those timelines so that in 4 years you can look at this will be done. Year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, speed it up, get it, because we can't keep dawdling on transit or cycling. And a lot of that is just also ties into accountability. Like you'll hear candidates talk nonstop. Voters want accountability. The candidates are going to be accountable, but nobody will say how they're going to be accountable.
Yes.
And so for me,
Not much specific.
right? It's just a word, and it's like you can just say that like voters want bananas, and I'm going to be a banana, right? And I'm like, here's how you hold me accountable. I get elected, and we speed up that cycling plan. We speed up that transit plan. I can't give specific details on what that would look like until I'm in there, but I can guarantee you I will fight to the death to get these projects sped up so that we need them now, not in 30 years, now. Housing is another big one as we're continuing to grow. Lethbridge is another really cool thing I love about living here is the fact that we're surrounded by farms and that we have new families going out and starting small farms like Fork in the Road. And so we need to really start looking about how we're developing as a city, and do we really need more neighborhoods like Riverstone or Copperwood or this or that, or do we want to start looking at growing up? Do we want to start looking at diverse housing solutions, laneway housing, tiny houses, multifamily dwellings? I'd love to fight and get a tiny house community pilot project going. So maybe like a city block, we can just like tiny houses live here, and we'll see how this goes. Because then it also solves the problems with affordable housing for students or small families or families going through separation, and then of course with seniors as they're aging, there's a point where they can't live alone, but they're not ready emotionally or even just need-wise to move into a home, and it's easier to be able to provide those spaces where you have the granny suite, as they the colloquial term for it. And so those are a lot of the things, is just looking at that and looking at the overview of how we need to develop and what we need to do to kind of encourage that growth and that community spirit we have, instead of becoming massive like Calgary and being out of touch.
Rather than expanding expanding and investing on more, making Lethbridge bigger, invest in the people.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
Actually, I'm going to steal that for the campaign, by the way, because that's exactly what it is, just more eloquent.
So you've heard it from Our guest, she will be championing all of those causes and then some.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
There's always more.
Yeah, there's always gonna be
more.
Just at that high point, like that transit, where we're going to 100,000 population. I mean, we're not far behind, but I guess we're not last, at least in whole Canada.
Yeah.
But at least pushing it and having like a betterment on the transit side.
Yeah.
I completely agree with that one, and I would love that to actually move and have it petition for a more better.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
We have actually the University of Lethbridge Student Union is going to be running a Yes Pass, or a U Pass referendum this year. And so there's going to be a lot of push that way, and they've been working with the city. And I'm going to meet with the transit union that represents our bus drivers, because there's some concerns about how that master plan was. They didn't consult with the drivers.
Yeah, everybody has to be consulted when you're planning to do something that big or.
Well, at the very least, the people
Yes.
doing the job,
Exactly.
right? Like, ask those guys.
They have a better idea
Yeah.
of what's gonna happen and what's more to be implemented for us. I mean, those are the front lines.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
to
right.
me.
Yeah.
And I love hearing that from you. The transit, the housing, and the recycling.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's like 3 high points there automatically. I have some next.
Oh yeah. So, what do you think the Asian community has contributed to the city of Lethbridge? Now that, as you've said, a lot of immigrants are moving to Lethbridge, not just from other countries, but even from within Canada.
Yeah.
So, what do you think is the impact of the Asian community and immigrants in general to our city?
I might be biased because I'm an immigrant, but I do feel that the greatest benefit of immigrants coming in, and whether they're immigrating or just coming in from across the country, is that dedication to the community and that spirit and that willingness to really, like what you guys are doing, and just going full bore into the election. And we see it, all across the city, starting back with the Chinese railroads and that, and then when you look at the internment camps with World War II and the Japanese, and then watching them come out of that, and then of course when we had the nursing crisis, and so they're bringing Filipino nurses in, and so then it's that coming in and really making Lethbridge our home, and it's the diversity of the work that the Asian community and immigrants do as a whole. So my Japanese family is all in chiropractic and sports meds, and actually one's a hairstylist and really good one. But then you also see like this huge amount of Filipino workers who are in the trades and building the Destination Project, working on the electrical projects there. And so you see all of this, crossover just in basic contributions to the community. But I also think it's important for us and for our kids to have that exposure and to be interacting with people who have different life, stories and experiences and opinions, and always food. Just right? I think it's amazing when you can go somewhere and have these really intense experiences where I'm going to get some adobo tonight, right? Like, this is not something you see a lot of. And then that's where you kind of get into, kind of the looser parts of immigration, is the coming in and opening the small businesses and the restaurants. And it's just it adds such richness and diversity and culture to where we live. And that just makes us better as a community as a whole. I mean, it's no fun if everybody's the same.
Yeah, both investment-wise and
Oh,
diversification. Like most immigrants who got approved to Canada, they will mostly sell their houses and farmlands or whatever from the country that they came from, right? And then in turn, they invest it here, use it here. Of course, they're going to go back at some point to visit or maybe retire there. But the short and long term, those immigrants that come to Canada, they will be investing a lot, not just in workforce, but also in investment. Like the Japanese, they heavily invested in Banff. Banff probably wouldn't be like it is today if not for the Japanese. They bought a lot of property there. So
and it's amazing, right?
Yeah, it is.
We have some really good exchange, actually. His best friend's mom is always doing exchange programs with Japanese students a couple of times a year. And, hopefully they'll come over and they'll do university here. And
That's nice.
the better we can make the city, the more likely it is that, people will stay, right?
And it gives Canada a lot of a good rep when when you travel to around the world, because we're a very
Diverse.
hospitable
Yep.
and diverse community.
It's I love just the idea of it, and it's a very good point about band. And they have a large influence there,
Yes.
the Japanese did, and and that's a major point there, that Banff wouldn't be Banff today if it wasn't for their influence there, and whatever input they did, it's pretty much amazing.
Amazing place now.
And let me just touch in basis about your sports, like soccer.
Oh yeah, so sports. I was super excited to see this question.
So our show supports the Lethbridge Hurricanes, the Kodiaks, the Pronghorns, the other local sports team. Do you think we need more sports activities here in Lethbridge that will promote diversity for our community?
Well, I'm a diehard baseball fan. I'm a Seattle Mariners fan, long suffering. I've accepted our fate, right? And it's funny because actually it was Ichiro, a Japanese player who came over, who just completely changed the team, and just the early aughts and late 90s were amazing because of him and the Japanese players coming over. But there's a lot of really cool sports that go on in Lethbridge that people are less aware of. There's not the support, or like specifically roller derby. We have the Lethbridge Roller Derby Guild. It is ages 7 to you die, basically. Like you can play roller derby or be involved in rec at any age, and it's also gender inclusive, and it's a fully equalized sport. So you get on the track, and I'm 5'2", but I can take a 6-foot tall man down. You know, but then we're all best friends after the game and prior to the game, and we dance in between jams and stuff. And there's also like, you know, a speed skating association here that some of the derby players will actually do in the off season for conditioning, and we have lacrosse, and we have a lot of these other really exciting sports that just, you know, for derby and lacrosse, we don't have a permanent home. We kind of bounce around between the exhibition grounds and the ATB Center or abandoned ice rinks, wherever will have us. And so the city is really good about supporting the big sports and, you know, hockey and curling, but there's all these other things that are kind of, and derby's big thing is its inclusivity, right? It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, any of your identities. You just, you know what, put on some skates and try. And
That's
so,
right.
and you can always contact them and come out and, like, you know, do a broadcast from the game.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's good.
absolutely. They'll take you
Maybe
anytime.
we can take a new sport.
No?
Yep.
Why not?
Yeah.
We're sport-minded as well.
Oh,
the
fantastic.
country
Most
itself.
Filipinos will be just playing it's either basketball or boxing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
That's the major sports.
Okay. Not a lot of boxing in town either, is there? A little bit.
There's an MMA, which
Okay.
actually the Jesse or Jess FM owner actually supports from once in a while.
Oh, okay.
So he does this small events about the mixed martial arts. So
Oh, yeah.
that's that's amazing as well. Like at least it touch others, and we got a local boxer, which we had an interview, if I'm not mistaken, with Liz. That's around early February.
Oh,
So he's one of the. I think he fought like Ricky Hatton or something.
Oh, okay.
So he's one of those, like he's local Lethbridgean, and I commend those because of course we sports is not that pretty much pushed when it comes to like boxing and MMA here.
Yeah.
So at least they're making their mark, and I appreciate that, and at least we're coming out now.
Yeah. And just to get finding that extra support, that extra part of the city funding or whatever that looks like to, you know, promote more events and to be more out there and to do more recruitment.
Yeah,
that's a big one.
Let me just ask, like a curveball. Do you play sports, man?
Just Lethbridge Roller Derby Guild. I played that for a few
okay.
years. I was a blocker because I'm just not fast enough to be a jammer. And I did it for a few years, and then I took a couple of injuries. And derby's not a long career sport. It's pretty dangerous. So after a few injuries, it was like, all right, time to like step back and do some rapping. So when I have time, I go to practices, I rap, and you know, I'll practice a little bit with the team, but no contact anymore. So so now I knit.
Well, like me too. Like, I can't have that the age catch up on me.
Oh yeah.
Your mind still wants to play, your body is already giving up.
Yeah, you like the sports, but the sports doesn't like you anymore. You know. That's how I pretty much sum it up, and that's good to know. I mean, I hope we could watch you play, but I guess not anymore. They
No.
do like announcing.
I'll ref when I'm
Oh.
available for a game,
Well,
and
there you
so
go.
you know, you'll have 10 skaters on the track and 7 refs.
Wow.
Because they're moving fast
Yes.
and penalties can be quick and dirty and it's dangerous. And so a ref's job is actually just to keep things safe, right? Like, and so you'll see 3 refs on the outside and 4 refs in the middle of the rink. And
We should watch
There you
that
go.
sometime.
We will,
Oh,
because
sure.
we want to break out and of
Yeah.
course
Oh, yeah.
want to bring in Asian Filipino community to actually
Expose them to other kind of sports.
open their eyes.
and we're always recruiting. The league is always recruiting.
So
And
like-
there's cool things you can do. Like I had broken my arm and had to have surgery this
Wow.
winter, not because of derby. And so unfortunately I missed out on the opportunity to fly to Iceland to be a ref.
Oh.
That's roller derby, right?
Okay,
Like I have a
okay.
friend who is out as a photographer in Bern, Switzerland, and they do games. Some of the regions teams were down playing in Portland and Spokane in the last year. So there's a lot of travel as well. So
That's
you
nice.
know,
So to all local regions, like want to check out or at least get a glimpse of Madame Takahashi here. She does like referees to the roller derby.
yeah.
So I would like to see her on one of the games, and of course, if you have something in mind, we can approach you. I suppose.
Oh, absolutely, anytime. Yeah,
There you go.
absolutely.
So I invite you, and
Yep.
Madame Takahashi is inviting you
Yes,
herself.
Yeah.
And thank you for that.
Yeah.
That's a good. That's
I
a
love
good-
talking dirty. I can talk dirty all day long.
It's a good part,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, let's talk about security. The Lethbridge Police is doing a great job in our city. What do you think we as Lethbridgians will be able to do to contribute to make the city a lot safer and help our hardworking police officers and EMS to be able to work and do their job, you know, a little bit less stressful.
It's always a big question that I've been amazed with what the police station has been doing with especially the fentanyl bus. We
Yes.
know what a problem that is. I lost a friend to an overdose a couple
sorry
years
to
ago.
hear
I hear that.
And so it's good to see them and how hard they're working, and it seems like it's like every week there's something. And so, you know, what we can do as citizens and what we can do in our community is simple. Just meet your neighbors, make friends with them, know what's going on your block or in your building, and take a part in that. Just, you know, the closer we are as a community, the easier it is to
Yes.
see when things are off or things are wrong, or to know when something's, you know, and whether that's, you know, violence in the household or somebody going down, you know, the alleys picking through or picking at locks and things like that. It's really important to know your community and to be a part of it. And the stronger we are together, the harder it is for, you know, crime to really get out there and to take hold.
Yeah.
We're lucky in our neighborhood. It's a pretty quiet neighborhood, you know, by other standards. I mean, I think there's only been 2 drug busts there this year, so, right? But it's also a really close-knit community. And so everybody kind of knows each other, and it helps. And I think that's so much of it. I think another big part is showing kindness. And we have a project here called the Feed the Need. And so they've got the boxes set up all over town, and when you have, you know, non-perishable food items you can put
Yes,
in there, or shampoos, soap, stuff like that,
Nice.
then you're just helping to support somebody through one more meal. And then maybe that, you know, helps so that they don't have to take some more drastic measures, and that is good. And then just even being downtown, you know, it's a hot day, let's bring a case of water down and offer it to people on the street who need it. And to start looking at everybody as human instead of, well, that's just, you know, some drunk in the park,
Yes,
or,
yes,
you know, that's just my junkie neighbor, and starting to really build those bridges and develop those relationships. And then it also helps when, you know, you do have to call the police and be like, we got a problem over here.
Be
You
active,
can- yeah, you're more informed about what's going on. And I think that's a part of it as well, is that willingness to stand up when you see something wrong instead of just ignoring it and walking by.
That's very true.
Well, that I agree 100%. Because when I first moved here to Canada, that's the first thing I've noticed. That I've lived to like 5 different places. I have a house in Edmonton before, and then I moved to Saskatoon, and then back to, I live in Calgary, Toronto. It's very rare that you know your neighbors.
Yeah.
like in the Philippines and most Asian countries, you'll know even your people from 10 blocks or even from other towns.
That's true.
Yeah.
Here, you know, your neighbor in front of your house or in the side, you know, it's very rare that you even know them. So I think that's a good suggestion, initiative that you know, to help the community become a lot more closer.
Yeah.
Then crime rate, and then everybody will be caring for each other, making the job of our police officers a lot easier.
Mm-hmm. That's a very good point. And of course, we got our Lethbridge Finest,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
of course we support them as well. Like job well done, and I feel safer when I see them around, and of course by that help, it's I see it's not even a job; it's a sacrifice for them.
Yes.
This profession.
Yes.
Yes.
Because they're out there every day, and of course they're I see them as a local heroes. So every time I speak to my children about them, I always put into mind that Lethbridge Finest is
Yeah.
one of the best.
They're sacrificing, and they put up with a lot of abuse as
Yes.
well, just from the community. And that's not, you don't attack somebody for doing their job, right?
They're not perfect, but you know.
Yeah. Oh
they're-
yeah, mistakes
they're
are
really
made, and
doing
you
their
know.
best.
But yeah.
I think that's the part
Yeah.
of where the human side comes in.
Yes. Yeah.
Especially being a border
Mhm.
city. It's, you know, from
Easy.
a very big city on our right, Calgary, and then the U.S. on our left. So it's going to be, you know, it's a tough job, but I see the Lethbridge Police doing their job, and you know, hopefully with the help of our guest, Ms. Takahashi, will be able to have the help our police officers need.
Yeah, that's correct. Now we're playing into part there. I've been stressing we're gonna hit like 100,000
Yeah.
pretty soon, and that's not gonna stop from there.
No.
Yes.
We're gonna exceed 100,000. Do we see like to get to hire more police officers, or what will be our best solution to cope up with the population?
I haven't had an opportunity to speak to Chief Davis yet,
Okay.
and he is a man I respect immensely. I spent, some time talking to him, working with him during some campaigns in 2015, and he's dedicated, he's hardworking, and he tells this great story about how he walks from home to the station every day and walks
Nice.
past the homeless shelter
Yeah.
and actually takes the time to get to know the folks that are in that area. And that says something to me about his commitment to community policing. And so as we're growing, like the west side now makes up a third of the population, with the remainder on this side. We have one central police station. It's gone through a lot of upgrades, and it's beautiful, and I don't know what all's going on in there, but it's going to be great. However, it's still going to take a cop 20 minutes to get from downtown to my apartment, or from downtown to Black Wolf. And so I think a lot of what we need to do to be supporting police officers, and then also developing greater resources for fire and EMTs and stuff, is to start looking at this as from a community standpoint and building in so that we have these police outposts built into the fire stations on the north and west side, and then look at doing something similar, because then it also allows police to be assigned to their beat. That's their neighborhood, that's who they're responsible to, and that's who we know we can call. This is seeing the same cop every day, and I think that's a huge thing too, because it allows them to dig in deeper to their communities, have a better sense of what's going on, and they're less thinned out, and they have more of that. So that is a big thing that I would like to see happen within the next term, is that, assuming it's what, the police want, like I haven't spoken to them yet, but this to me is just an increasing, and then we're further going into that community and getting to know the community and developing that, and I think that's how we best support them. Inevitably, we'll need to hire more officers, more EMTs, more firemen. These things will continue to grow. But I think right now it's just setting those things in place so that as we grow, it's already, here's our police station on the west side, and then we're not waiting so long and not stressing their system, and they're not having to say, well, I have 3 calls, now we have to prioritize it because of time.
That's a very good point.
And we see too much of that, and it's unfair, because then they're going home and like, well, I went to this call, but what about this call? I'm not straight. We have quite a few friends in the police force, so.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a very good point.
It is
Yeah.
a very good point. Familiarity, especially. So the police gets familiar with the neighborhood.
Yeah.
The neighborhood gets familiar with the police.
Yeah,
So,
to get engaged with them.
That's a great point.
Of course, to know them better, because there's like misconnotations there or
Yeah.
understanding that police are scary and so on.
Yeah.
But I trust them 100%, and of course, as a local at Bridget, I give them a passing remark, doing a good job. So, you got our next question going, or?
Oh, yeah. So, before we go to our last question, do you have anything that you want to discuss further about an issue you're passionate about?
Your platform,
Yeah.
your
Oh,
Which
that's
was
always
the-
a big can of
Yes,
worms.
yes.
Like, what are you opening up, guys? I've been really excited about watching Lethbridge grow and change in the 12 years I've been here, and especially in the last 5 years. And one of the things that I think is most definitive about the change is actually 6th Street, and you guys are now a part of 6th Street
Mhm.
here with Jess FM, Club Didi, but then looking over where Drunken Sailor is, and Plum, and Telegraph, and Piggyback Boutinerie, and I feel like they kind of really revitalized something, some entrepreneurial spirit, some excitement, some determination in the city that we can really start driving it. So we're seeing more of these music festivals and arts festivals,
Yes.
and like the Afro Caribbean Carnival was 2 weekends ago, and just again, any opportunity I have to eat snacks, I will take, right? It's just guaranteed. If you want my attention, bribe me with some food, I'm right there. And so it's been super exciting to watch this, and so much of what we're fighting for. And, there's other candidates who are running who are similarly minded in this, and just really being that driving force so that we can develop into what we are, and instead of just kind of keeping this line of who our representatives are. And so we want to fight on that, and that is and a lot of that comes with finding ways to support alternative sports or to support more arts coming through. We have amazing theater and music and and we're seeing more and more entrepreneurs come out and open small businesses and take those risks. And I think this is something that's overlooked. It's like, oh, well, Wally just runs a comic book store, and it's like you blood, sweat, and tears from this man for years to develop it and what it is, and he's still there, 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, with a new baby who's actually over a year old now. And then looking at ways that we can make it easier on small businesses. And a lot of that comes down to working with the investors groups and building those connections. And one of the things I see that makes me saddest here is seeing these brilliant people who just run out of opportunity and leave because it's not facilitated. I'm tired of saying goodbye, right? Let's keep them here, and whatever.
We're brain
that looks
draining
like.
Lethbridge.
Yeah.
If we continue, that
Quickly.
continues to happen. Yeah.
And we need that. But then, when you get into a campaign, it's kind of it's always a bit scary and it's a bit intimidating, and you never know, who's going to attack you, and who's going to be saying things that are not accurate, and who's going to be saying things that aren't accurate to you in front of voters. Last week was super fun.
Good to know.
But it's, when you're a young, tiny woman, it's going to happen, right? There's going to be pushback. And that's fine. It's part of the job. You sign up for this. But the most important part of the job is, and the most interesting part about campaigning is, it's what's your strategy? How are you going to do this? And what's your platform? And all of these things that are asked. And it's honestly, guys, I'm just on a really big, weird job interview.
Yeah.
It's just a 6-week-long job interview, and
Nice.
you're gonna ask me questions. I'm gonna tell you what I think and feel, but also it's not my job to. Your job is to tell me what my job is. You're my boss.
Yes.
You're my
Exactly.
employers. You
Wow.
sign my paycheck.
Wow.
Your taxes go into paying me, and that by default makes me your employee. And that's where that accountability comes in. And somebody asked me on Facebook recently, and I listed 3 things. I'm like, that's a start. This is how you know if you want to rehire me in 4 years or not.
Exactly.
Did I do these things? If not, don't hire me. Again, don't renew my contract. Let me go. But if I did, you know what? Keep me on for another, And so that's it. So I spend a lot of time with people contacting me and, you know, all hours of the day and in all kinds of different ways. And they're like, what are your feelings on this topic? Or, you know, can I trust you to work on this project? Or like, there's a group that are fighting to have backyard chickens. And they're, you know, right? And so it's like, where do you stand on the chickens?
So
for
you
the
need to look
record.
for that happy medium, eh?
Yeah, and I love that because I can talk about what I'd like to see happen with, you know, housing and urban development, but maybe and not everybody agrees with that, and so they want to tell me how they feel, or maybe they're like, yes, you're on the right track, and you know, we love this, and so then I kind of can gauge better, and that makes it easier to do my job when I know what is expected of me, right?
That's right.
Very good. Point well taken. Okay. So I believe you do have like a Facebook where you're so engaging.
Yes.
Like every time I send a message to Honorable Takahashi here, she replies like within 1 or 2 hours.
Wow.
So
That's
you
a
can
very good
invite them
response
to,
time.
to
Yep.
like your page and
Yep.
of course see your platforms. I know you're updating every day.
Yes.
And you can invite
Yeah.
our audience to what's your Facebook
So
page?
the Facebook is, I think you can just search at TAC for YQL.
Yes.
So TAK for FORYQL. And then the web address is votegen.ca. And then we're also on Twitter as at TAC for YQL and on Instagram.
There you go.
It's not like we haven't got a lot of pictures because I'm the worst at taking photos. I get distracted. But yeah, you're welcome to engage with me on any of those platforms. There's also the email addresses tacforYQL@gmail.com. And I look forward to the comments and the questions and the ideas. I mean, that's what this is about, is just getting to stand up and represent, you know, people who don't have a voice in council right now, and to start fighting for what we need, whether it's women or, you know, as queers or as people with small families or as blue collar workers or immigrants, you know, all of these things, we deserve representation, and it would be the greatest honor. I couldn't imagine a better use of my life than to be that representative and to be there for that support for my community.
That's very nice to know. How do you call it, like, to sum it up? Voice of the voiceless?
Yeah, we're jokingly, we're like tech for the future. But yeah, it really is that. It really is. It's being that person that is willing to stand up and like, I got you. Like, whatever you need, I have you, and I will do my best for you. Because it's been too long. We've sat at 22% female representation literally this entire century. We're at 15% queer, 15% people of color. There's 15% representation of somebody with a small family. You know, and this is representation, and we're not that. We're 50% female. We're 50% families. You know, and when you start looking at the demographic breakdowns racially or identity-wise, we're so diverse. And just, you know, all it takes is one person. And so then I'm running this time. Hopefully I win, you know, but whether I win or not, there's going to be another group of people behind me next time. You know, women, people of color, you know, younger people, people who do more blue collar work, all of this. We're going to be like, you know what, she could do it. Maybe she didn't succeed, or maybe she succeeded, you know, either way, and they're going to step up and get involved. And that's so much of the campaign, is just encouraging that involvement, getting people engaged. Municipal politics aren't that sexy. So let's vote, let's take part, let's run, let's do it together, right?
Let's be active in voting.
Yeah.
United Lethbridge. So I feel welcome now. So that's very warming. I'm just gonna play again forecast, and let's say in the future, like November.
Yeah.
After you get elected, I went to your office and received our votes. What can we expect from you as our city councilor, Lethbridge?
That's where I turn the question on you. What do you expect from me, right? Like, you can come to me at any time. You can, you know, and what do you need? You talk to me about what that looks like. You express your concerns or the things that are going well, the things you want to see more of. It means that I am always available to, you know, to the voters, to the people, and even, you know, those who don't vote. Anybody in the community, I am available. And that's the thing. That's the most important part to me. I can't represent you if I won't take your phone calls, if I'm not willing to fight on your behalf, if I'm not willing to raise your issues. And I'm definitely not known as a shy wallflower. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm a bit of a badger,
Oh,
and I
good.
don't back down.
But you're very approachable.
Oh well, you got to have that balance, right? And you can trust that you bring your issues to me, and we will find a way. We will drag them kicking and screaming into the changes that need to be made. So you only need 5 counselors, and so it's not then just about voting for me. It's about finding those counselors across the board that are going to embody your morals, your values, and your dreams, so that there's that 5 of us there that can outvote, so that we can force this change that the community wants. And then it's just being there, it's just showing up. That's it. I'm there for you, and you just come and you let me know what you need, and we will do it. Or we'll try damn hard.
Well said. That's exactly what we need for our leaders. It's not
Yeah.
what they want; it's
Yeah.
what you want.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, there you go, Honorable Jennifer Takahashi, for you from the city office. So that's pretty much what she wants to send the message for. I know we've tackled a lot of topics. Do you have something that you want to share or invite them? Do you have like a city that you're going to do or event that
Yes, yeah.
you're going to go there and
Yeah,
please
actually,
invite our viewers?
this Thursday night at Owl from about 5:30 till about 8, we're going to host Politics, Putin, and Pints night. So you
Wow.
can just come down, hang out, talk to me about what's on your mind and in your hearts, and also get to meet a lot of really cool people in the community, make some new friends, and find some new people to connect with, and just really be able to discuss these issues and see where we're going and what we're looking at. So we've got that. There's going to be a lot of forums coming up. I think we're up to 7 forums now. So September 28th,
Yes.
the University of Lethbridge Student Union is hosting a forum.
September 28th.
That's going to be exciting because for the first time ever, there's going to be voting on campus.
Wow.
The SU worked very, very hard, and there
Voice of the
will
youth.
yes,
Yeah.
which is massive when we're
Yeah.
looking at 30% voter turnout.
course.
Anything we can do to raise that.
It's their future that that's at stake.
stake.
So
Yeah. Yeah, you got
might
to
as
get out,
well
and vote,
get
right?
out and vote.
This is how we do democracy.
That's
So
right.
yeah, and I forget the dates. There's quite a few forums coming up, and there's going to be some neat ones. The Downtown BRZ is hosting one, which is the one I'm kind of most looking forward to. SACPA is as well, and their forums are always incredibly good. The Home Builders Association. So I have no idea what to expect on that one, but that's going to be fun. And then so who is it? SACPA, Home Builders, BRZ. Student Union, the Chamber of Commerce, of course, and there's a meet and greet at the library coming up pretty soon. And I can't remember. I was just looking at the list yesterday and trying to figure out everything I need.
That's a
to
lot
know.
of
Yeah.
Your schedule's pretty
Yeah.
full.
A lot of opportunities.
That's what we
to,
want from our counselors
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Always busy, always working.
Yep.
There you go. Now, if Honorable Jennifer Takahashi missed some dates, you can definitely check out her Facebook, social media. It will all be breaking down there, and of course, she's there for you. I've tried it, like I said, message. She would automatically go there and reply with you as soon as possible.
And two, if anybody out there has a community group, an organization, anything, even just a bunch of friends who want to talk, they're welcome to contact me. There's always more time in the day to make space for things.
You've heard it, FCA LA, Filipino Association.
Yep, anywhere. Well, anywhere. Because, this is actually the best part about campaigning, is getting to meet so many amazing people every day. I love that.
That's amazing. And again, unless I've stated, Honorable Jennifer Takahashi, her office to you. So, with that said, of course, this is our week 2, and we want to thank you, of course, all our, if I can shake
Yes,
hands.
thank you
there
so
you
much
go.
for having me.
Yeah,
Oh,
for
no,
coming.
I know this one. Salamat po.
Wow, that's good.
Good.
Salamat.
You're welcome.
Mabuti naman.
I tried. I'm not very good at that. But
No,
I have a friend.
it's perfect. It's perfect. So I'm inviting you to check out our history. This will be archived to our page. I'll forward it to Ms. Takahashi at the same time on her page, and of course you will see our interview there as a history, and of course on our YouTube channel. This is live in Jess FM.
With all of our 300,000 subscribers who downloaded the apps.
Yes,
Wow.
there you go. Actually, we got 2 million counted.
Wow.
It's just that sometimes our counter is not that accurate, but
The running total.
the way we're gonna check out the history is where it's gonna be archived and the way they're gonna watch it on when there is the free time.
Oh, neat.
So that's where the impact actually goes.
Oh, wow.
So,
This is an amazing project you guys are doing here.
Oh,
this
thank
is
you, madam.
really amazing.
we're just trying to give part to our community at the same time to our country. I believe we owe something for our community. So this is the way we say thank you back.
It's a
So-
great way.
Oh, thank you.
And we also want to thank, of course, Jess FM for making it possible. as well.
Okay. Jess FM is actually it's a community voice for any ethnicity. So it's free. Download the app. And if I may request at the same time, would you invite our voters on October 16?
Oh, yes, of course. Election day is October 16th. We do have advanced polling September 30th, October 1st and 2nd. Historically, 30% voter turnout. So, you know what? Get up and get out there and vote.
And there
Let's
you
make
have.
it at least twice that.
And there you go. And that's week 2 for you. This is September 11. We got the Honorable Jennifer Takahashi on our seat today. Please watch our next show, which is September 18. We got the incumbent mayor, Honorable Chris Spearman, on our seat next week. And of course, we're going to talk about same subjects where our community will actually engage on what's next on his platform and future for our Lethbridge. And I would like to thank you so much for being here
Thank you.
and giving your voice to the public, to our community, and of course to Lethbridge itself. So this is the week 2 of Pinoy Hour, and we thank you for watching and stand by tuning to our show. We are live simultaneously in our Facebook Live page, and of course, as I've indicated, there would be a history. And thank you so much.
Thank you again.
Well, October 16, exercise your right.
Yes.
Lethbridge 2017.
Okay.
Till next time.
Vote 2016 and 17.